Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to present a corporate update for Aastrom. And before we begin, I'll remind everyone that this presentation contains forward-looking statements, and I'll ask you to refer to our documents on file with the SEC for further information. So it's been a highly transformative year for Aastrom. Over the past year or so, we've brought in an entirely new management team with a strong track record of development and commercialization of products in the U.S. and a strong track record of restructuring and integrating businesses. Having restructured Aastrom's legacy business to focus on an orphan disease program last year, we entered this year focused on strategic growth initiatives for the company. As part of that strategy, we acquired Sanofi's cell therapy and regenerative medicine business in May of this year. It's a business that did about $44 million in revenues in 2013, and we think there's significant upside potential for this business. A key strategic priority for us in acquiring this business was to drive the business to profitability as rapidly as possible. And to that end, we undertook a pretty significant restructuring of the company about 2 weeks after we closed the deal. And we're happy to report that excluding the restructuring charges, the deal was actually accretive based on 1 month of commercial operations. In addition to our commercial products, we have a high potential pipeline with a phase 3 asset to expand our cartilage repair franchise and a phase 2B program in the treatment of advanced heart failure. We're also in a very strong financial position, having just completed a $40 million financing a couple of weeks ago with strong participation from institutional investors. So our management team, as I mentioned, has deep operations and commercialization expertise. Dan Orlando, our COO, ran Takeda's North American commercial operations, built Actos into a multi-billion-dollar brand. Dave Recker was Senior VP of Clinical Sciences and ran all of clinical operations for Takeda outside of Japan. Ross Tubo, our CSO, was VP of Cell Biology at Genzyme and actually was instrumental in the approval and development of the products we acquired from Sanofi. And Gerard Michel joined us in June, a highly experienced public company CFO with companies like NPS and so on, and directly responsible for our successful recent financing. So in terms of the acquisition, we acquired this business for $6.5 million. As I mentioned, it did about $44 million in revenues in 2013. And through the acquisition, we acquired 3 approved products: Cartacell, Episel, and Macy, manufacturing and production sites in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and Denmark, a commercial organization based principally in the U.S., and $4.3 million in net working capital in Genzyme, Denmark. So this positions us with a very robust profile: 2 marketed products, Cartacell and Episel in the U.S., a phase 3 product candidate in Macy, which is a next-generation cartilage repair product that's in, again, a phase 3 product candidate in our phase 2B orphan program, XALT, for the treatment of advanced heart failure. So turning to our commercial products, Cartacell is a first-generation autologous chondrocyte implant, or ACI product, for the treatment of cartilage defects in the knee. It's the first and only FDA-approved autologous cartilage repair product. And basically, it's produced by isolating and expanding a patient's own chondrocytes and injecting those cells into a cartilage defect. The therapeutic advantage is that these chondrocytes are the cells that produce the hyaline cartilage that's naturally present in the knee, as opposed to fibrocartilage, which is produced by some of the other alternative treatments. The product was approved based on the STAR study in the United States, which was a 154-patient study that demonstrated statistically significant improvements in pain and function scores, and we now have durability of repair data out to 20 years with this product. From a commercial perspective, it's the driver of the U.S. business. It did about $35 million in revenues in 2013. There's a very loyal and dedicated physician base that utilizes this product, and our target patient population is younger and more active patients that have larger defects, where, again, these alternative treatments do not provide durability of repair. There's widespread reimbursement. All the top plans cover the product, about 98% of covered lives in the U.S., and very limited competition for this product, and obviously no generic threats being a cell therapy. So we believe this provides a very sustainable and stable foundation to build our business on. And we do think there are growth opportunities for Cartacell, despite the fact that it's been on the market for quite some time. There's about 250,000 cartilage surgical procedures done each year. About 20% of those, or 50,000, involve full chondral defects that are ideal for cartilage usage. Only a very small portion of these patients are treated with restorative therapies such as autografts and allografts or ACI treatment. So we think there's ample opportunity to grow this product, and we can do it with our current commercial organization, which is about 20 sales representatives in the United States. It's a very concentrated physician target base of about 1,000 sports medicine orthopedic surgeons in the U.S. Episel is our second product that we market in the United States. It's a permanent skin replacement for full thickness burns greater than or equal to 30% of total body surface area. It, again, is the only FDA-approved autologous epidermal product for large total body surface area burns. And this is a very important life-saving product for severe burn patients because these patients have very little skin for autografts. It was approved in the U.S. as a humanitarian use device. Again, small number of physicians and institutions drive this business, and with virtually no commercial support, it does about $7 to $10 million a year in revenues. But again, we think there's a lot of upside potential here based on low penetration rates for Episel. As you can see, there's about 2,000 or more patients each year who have burns over more than 30% of their body, and Episel is used in about 80 to 100 patients a year. If you think about it from a different perspective, there's about 127 specialty burn centers in the United States that represent about 1,700 burn beds. We generate 40 to 50% of our business from one hospital that has 70 burn beds. So there's ample opportunity to grow this product based on low penetration rates, a virtual lack of any promotional or reimbursement support from Sanofi or Genzyme previously. When we acquired the product, it was actually being sold below the price that's allowed under the humanitarian device exemption regulation, so we took a price increase on July 1st. And there are other opportunities to price the product without reference to the HDE regs that we'll be pursuing as well. The third product we acquired in our phase 3 product candidate is Macy, which is a third-generation ACI for the treatment of cartilage defects in the knee. It's the first tissue-engineered product that was approved under the ATMP regs in the EU. So this is the product that really provides the expansion opportunity for our cartilage repair franchise. It's basically manufactured the same way as Cartacell, using patients' own chondrocytes, except in the latter stages, the cells are seated on a collagen membrane. The membrane is trimmed to the size of the defect, which is fixed with fibrin glue. The landmark Summit study formed the basis for approval of this product in Europe. The advantage of this product, which is not coming through on this slide, is that as opposed to an open knee procedure with suturing and using a periosteal flap, again, you basically cut the collagen membrane to the size of the defect. You can administer through a mini arthrotomy, so much less invasive for a patient, the patient. Shorter surgical time, improved recovery time for the patient. So again, this is the growth driver for our franchise, and we intend to aggressively to bring this product to market as soon as possible. So when we were looking at this business, as I mentioned, a key strategic driver for us was to get the business to profitability as soon as possible. As we analyzed it, there were 4 steps that needed to be taken to do so. The first involved Macy in Europe. Sanofi had built a standalone facility in Denmark. It was clear the volumes in Europe, given reimbursement challenges and so on, were not going to be high enough to support the facility. Macy accounted for about 1% of the revenues and about 1/3 of the losses of the business, so it was a pretty straightforward decision to close down the Denmark facility and suspend sales of Macy in Europe. So that was accomplished over the course of the past couple months. We have a 3-year window to reintroduce the product in Europe without going through the approval process, and we'll do so from our manufacturing facility in Cambridge, which manufactured Macy for the European studies. There were also about $9 million in Macy R&D expenses that are now complete to support the U.S. BLA submission, and then other redundancies that were eliminated. All in all, we reduced about $20 million of operating expenses that we knew were necessary to drive the business to profitability. And as I mentioned, based on our Q2 financial results, excluding these restructuring charges, the business was accretive in the first month we owned the business. So that was getting it positioned for profitability. We're also we have several initiatives ongoing from a commercial perspective. We realigned sales territories, realigned the incentive comp plan to to drive profitability. With Episel, we took a price increase. We restored the promotional effort that had been on the product in the past that Sanofi had reassigned. And there are, with Ross having developed these products, there are numerous opportunities to improve manufacturing efficiencies, all of which will drive this business to profitability in pretty short order. Our second development product that we've talked about here in the past is XALT, which is the orphan disease product for the treatment of advanced heart failure due to ischemic DCM. This is the only product that includes both expanded populations of both mesenchymal stromal cells as well as M2-like macrophages, and that's the differentiation versus other cell therapies that are being developed for tissue repair and regeneration. It's the paracrine effects of these cells, which the body naturally uses to repair and regenerate tissue, as well as the direct cell activities that lead to the therapeutic effects we've seen with the product, which is reduction or resolution of inflammation, promotion of angiogenesis, and promotion of tissue repair and regeneration. We're developing this product, as I mentioned, for the treatment of advanced heart failure due to ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy. These are advanced patients who are essentially refractory to further traditional medical therapy. So they've maxed out on their prescription drugs, their medical devices, and so on, and they're on a road to either a left ventricular assist device or heart transplantation. So we think these patients are ideally positioned for intervention with cell therapy with XALT. We recently published in August in the peer-reviewed journal Circulation Research results from our phase 2A studies that demonstrated a statistically significant reduction in the percentage of patients that experienced a major adverse cardiovascular event in the XALT group versus the control group. And we also demonstrated statistically significant improvement in New York Heart Association class, generally from class 3-4 to class 1-2, as well as statistically significant improvements in 6-minute walk test performance. We currently have ongoing what I believe is one of the most, if not the most robust phase 2B study in this space. It's a registration quality study at about 30 sites in the U.S. intended to treat 108 patients with the primary endpoints of major adverse cardiovascular events. We've guided that we would complete this study by the end of the year. Due to Dave's great efforts, we're on track to do that, which is rare in this space in cardiovascular studies. So as I mentioned, we're in strong financial position as well, recently completing a $40 million financing last month. As I said, there were several fundamental institutional healthcare investors that participated in this round. In my view, it's because this is an opportunity for these fundamental healthcare investors to invest in a company that's focused on driving to profitability. It's our goal to be the first or among the first companies that are publicly traded that are profitable in this space, and we think that will attract investors and partners alike. So we have a number of upcoming both commercial and clinical milestones, having demonstrated significant progress with the business in our first quarterly earning results. We'll be obviously updating those on a quarterly basis and expect to continue to demonstrate progress in that regard. We'll have clarity on our submission and registration pathway for Macy in the U.S. Sometime around the end of this quarter, and we'll be completing the XALT DCM program or current clinical study by the end of the year and have results about a year later. So we think, obviously, we've transformed the company significantly since last year. We're excited about where we're taking the company, and we thank you for the time. Thanks.